Hey everybody, it's Michael from Wahoo Comics here with another haul and speculation video. And as usual, I've got a bunch of books I'm looking forward to showing you. Starting off with this one, Wolverine #1, which is the first issue in his first monthly series. If you've been watching my videos, you know I've been able to pick up a few copies of the #1 issue in his limited series earlier this year, but this is the first time I've been able to get a copy of this one. And so I'm really excited to add it to my collection. I think it's one that any Wolverine fan should look to add at some point. And books like this are really safe investments. Wolverine, of course, is a super popular character, and so his books are never going to go down in value. They're just going to steadily climb and hopefully at some point even spike once he makes his debut in the MCU. And so I'm really thankful, and I'm thankful for the seller who sold it to me. All the books I got today are from the same seller. And this one I had a haul from a few videos ago, and you might remember me mentioning that this seller was one who sent me the list of books he was looking to sell earlier in the year. And there were so many I wanted, there's no way I could afford them all at once. But he agreed to let me pick which ones I wanted, and that he would lock in the price he was selling them for. And then every quarter, he would send me a shipment if I sent a little bit of money each month to him. And so this is the second quarterly shipment of books I've gotten. And this is one that has definitely risen in value since I locked in those prices. And you can imagine some sellers, when it came time to actually sell the book, might say, hey, I know I agreed to sell it to you at this price, but it's going for 3 times what it was a few months ago. I just can't let it go at that price. And maybe we can meet in the middle or something like that. But this seller hasn't done anything like that. And instead, he's just been very positive. After he shipped this out, he said he looked it up, he sent me an email and saw that, oh man, it is going for 3 times what I sold it to you for. But I'm happy for you. Just congratulations. Great job picking a book that was going to rise in value. And so I really appreciate that seller. And that's why he's been getting more and more of my business lately. I keep picking books from that list, including the next few that I'll show you. And so all the books that I'm going to show you are #1 issues of a certain series. This is what this seller specialized in collecting in. And so I picked up another copy of Moon Knight #1 from him. And I've actually bought several copies of this book this year. If you've been watching my videos, you know I really believe in this character. He is going to be in a Disney Plus series, being portrayed by Oscar Isaac. And so I think any of his keys are really great ones to be picking up right now. And so I'm happy to get my second copy from this seller. And I think he might have some more. And so he might end up getting even more of my business. He's been just great in this whole process. And then also another one, Spider-Woman #1, my second copy I've bought from him. And all these books I've shown you so far are the first solo series, or at least for Wolverine, this first monthly solo series of these characters. Now I'm going to show you some other #1s now coming up that are also their first solo series, but it's actually also the first appearances of these characters. So Spider-Woman had her first appearance in Marvel Spotlight 32, but later got her own title here with Spider-Woman #1. But a character who had their first appearance in their first title was the Savage She-Hulk #1. It's another character who's going to have a Disney Plus series next year, and who I think is a great one to be picking up key books for. I've bought several copies of this year. This one, all these are really nice, high grade. This one I am definitely going to be submitting to CGC, hopefully sooner rather than later. And then my first copy of this book, Nova #1, which is the first appearance of the Richard Rider Nova. And I've talked about in my videos, there's a lot of speculation about this character coming into the MCU because Marvel is developing their cosmic section of their Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so a lot of people think this character could be coming soon. And so I think this is a great book to be picking up now. Also, it could be, there's different Novas. The Nova Corps is kind of like the Green Lantern Corps in DC. And so there's not just one Nova. This is the original Earth Nova. But another great book to be picking up that I don't have a copy of is the first appearance of Sam Alexander. I think he could be showing up in the MCU sooner rather than later. And it's in a Marvel Point 1 issue, I think maybe 2017 or something like that. But I am really happy to have this. He was always one of my favorite characters. One of the first series I read as a kid was New Warriors, and he was a part of that team. And it's kind of like a bad boy, and teenage me was like, wow, he's really cool. And so I liked him, and glad to have his first appearance. Also, Booster Gold, #1, and so this is the first appearance of Booster Gold and his sidekick Skeets. But it's also the first appearance of Blackguard, who's a villain that was a part of the recent Suicide Squad movie, portrayed by Pete Davidson. And so this book's seen an uptick in value because not only is Booster Gold important now, but also so is Blackguard. All right, now I'm going to show you a couple of books that are same thing, first solo series for a character, first appearances of that character, but where I learned something new just recently about them. So first of all, we have Rom, Space Knight #1, and so this is the first appearance of Rom and all the Space Knights, also the Dire Wraiths and the Prime Director. And again, well, I think it's actually fine. I learned Marvel no longer, I don't think, has the rights to Rom. This is a character they had licensed at one time, I think originally from Hasbro, or at least Hasbro has the rights now, but there's speculation that Hasbro might want to make a Rom movie at some point. They had partnered with Marvel. Basically, Marvel made a comic for them, and they made a toy line. But there is a lot of thought that he might show up at some point in the movie. But what I learned this past week was about this little black mark in the corner. So when I opened up my books, I saw that, and I panicked at first. I was like, "Oh no! Somebody has taken a Sharpie and like marked right through the box. What kind of idiot would do something like that?" And so I was kind of weighing in my mind, well, do I want to contact the seller? He's been so good to me. I don't want to be a pain, but at the same time, I don't like the fact that it looks like somebody marked up this book because I paid near mint price for it, which is definitely, other than this mark, what it was in. So I did some research. I looked up, is there something more to this black mark than meets the eye? And I actually found out that back in the day, books were printed like this that went on the direct sales market, so it could be distinguished from the newsstand copy. So a retailer who'd bought it through direct sales wasn't able to return it like you could on a newsstand. And years later, when I started collecting comics, this was replaced by, you actually had a whole different logo. Often it'd be like Spider-Man's face here that would show you that it was not a newsstand copy. But originally, it was these black bars. So if you get an older comic and it has a black bar through here, you don't need to panic like I did. It's okay, it'll be safe. Another book that I learned some things about recently was picking this one up, Destroyer Duck #1. Two things I learned about this. First, just with this character in general. So this book was written by Steve Gerber, I think is how you pronounce his name, who was the creator of Howard the Duck. And Steve got in a conflict with Marvel about who owned the rights because he published it through Marvel, but he created the character. And so he got in a lawsuit, and he and Jack Kirby worked together to produce this book to raise money to help them in their lawsuit. So that was kind of an interesting story. And then the second thing I learned about this book, it not only contains the first appearance, of course, of Destroyer Duck, but it also contains the first appearance of Gru, who's kind of a popular character, has a kind of a cult following among Sergio. I don't know how you pronounce his last name, actually, Aragones, but wrote for Mad Magazine and created a character called Gru, and his first appearance is actually in this book. And so I'm really happy to have this one. And then another debut of a character is this one, Raiders of the Lost Ark #1. If you've seen my videos, I've picked up several copies of this year. It contains the first appearance of Indiana Jones in comic books. And this was actually one the seller just threw in for free. And again, he's really helped me out a lot. And so I really appreciate that he did that. And I'm excited to have another copy of this in my collection. I almost asked him about buying it. I told him this later. and so told him I was really excited to have it, and so I am. All right, 2 more books. These don't contain first appearances of the main character, but still have value in them. First of all, it's Web of Spider-Man #1, and so this is the first issue in the 3rd solo series of Spider-Man. She had Amazing Spider-Man, which is the flagship title, then Spectacular Spider-Man. He's such a popular character, they had to make a 3rd series. So here you have Web of Spider-Man. And this is a pretty affordable key if you're a Spider-Man fan and you're priced out of a lot of the big keys. This is a nice one to pick up. A #1 issue with him, again, something that will just rise in value over time. It's got a cool, iconic cover in the black suit, so a good one to pick up. And then the final book is my sleeper of the week, and that's this one, Peacemaker #1. And so this doesn't contain the first appearance of Peacemaker, but it does contain the first appearance of Wolfgang Schmidt, which is the Peacemaker's father. And so we know there's an HBO series, HBO Max series coming out with this character. He was in the Suicide Squad, portrayed by John Cena. And of course, the series is going to introduce a lot of new characters. And so a lot of people think his father will be a part of that. And that's the reason I wanted to pick this one up. This is one you can probably find in back issue bins for pretty cheap. And actually is one I requested to order, but another one the seller just threw in for free with my order. And so I'm really happy to have it. And I am going to keep looking to pick up more copies of this because I do think it's good to pick up with that series on the horizon. All right. Well, finally, that brings me to my question of the week. Of course, I showed off a lot of #1 issues. And so what I want to hear from you is answer one of these questions. What is your personal favorite #1 issue from your own collection? Or what #1 issue do you want that if you had unlimited funds, what would you want to pick up? So I'll answer both questions, but yeah, you can answer one or both. My favorite issue, #1 issue that I have in my collection, I think is probably Star Wars #1, which I actually also picked up from the seller. And the issue, if I had unlimited funds, I think I would want Amazing Spider-Man #1, but that's too easy of a pick. Too many people would pick that. So I'm going to go, my second pick would be Fantastic Four #1. I love the cover of the Mole Man monster coming out and the Fantastic Four around. And it's just an iconic cover that's had many homages to it. And of course, it's the first appearance of the Fantastic Four. And so if I had unlimited funds, that's the one I'd pick up. Maybe one day I'll be able to get a low-grade copy. Anyway, that's it for the video. Thanks everyone for watching. Of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, it'd be a big help if you would consider doing that. Comment with answering the questions I asked, or if you have any other thoughts about books I should be looking out for, or characters that we should be specking on. Love to hear those as well. Like the video, all those good things. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you at the next one.